Hey guys, Troy Dooley, the Beachside CEO. Hope you guys are rocking it out. I want to give an update. By now you may have heard that Pruvit was bought back by its founders, and that's kind of misleading. It also leaves open, well, how the heck can you rebuy your company? What is the inside information, if you will? And I just found it disheartening that people, for whatever the agenda might be, call it reporting, but they just don't provide the facts and then act like they can't find the facts. So I want to lay this out for you guys in a form in the video. Now, if you go read the article, you're going to see a lot more on this information. And let me disclose real quick, I've been on the inside with Pruvit since before they launched. So I was a personal advisor to Brian Underwood, sat in a lot of meetings. When the company launched, I was working with the company from a compliance, regulatory side of things with them when it came to the field. Awesome. As a matter of fact, until some of these mergers that I'm going to talk about took place, I was under contract almost 9 out of their 10 years, maybe 8 out of their 10 years. So that's where I get a lot of my information. Plus, I'm giving you information that is public. None of the private meetings and stuff that I had with Brian am I sharing, but I'm sharing information that you can go find publicly if you really cared, which is the frustrating part when people call themselves journalists, but they don't do the investigation, which is all out there. So let's get to it. 2014, the company officially was incorporated out of the state of Texas. Brian Underwood, Chris Harding, and Terry LaCour are the 3 partners, and it's Pruvit Ventures. Today, that thing has grown. There's Pruvit Holdings, there's Keto Patents, which is a different company because they have a lot of more patents now from the originals that they first had that they were under license with from the University of South Florida. 2018, Pruvit won a major lawsuit, might have been the end of 17, but they won a major lawsuit against ForeverGreen. It was a company that was trying to compete, was going after, they were making just erroneous information. Long story short, Pruvit came out the dominant winner. They increased their licensing to other countries. And from that point forward, you just see this trajectory that goes up kind of like a hockey stick, and they've been jamming it ever since. Within 2 years, became the market leader of exogenous ketones. A lot of white label products. They started working with private label in other places. And today, even though the market is saturated, they are still listed, from everything that I could find, as the leader in exogenous ketones. And I think that's pretty good. But 2021 was a pivotal point for Pruvit. In some early meetings with Brian, his vision was gigantic. I mean, it was bodacious. He wanted to be in gyms. He wanted food. He wanted licensing on all kinds of swag and stuff. He really saw Pruvit as being what would be known as an iconic brand, something out there that was constantly reinventing itself, constantly bringing out new products, constantly focused on serving people. And this even included, at that time, the personal development side. He really wanted people to realize it's not just about the money, it's about life change. It's about being better. That was his big, I guess you could say his hashtag, if there is one, is be better constantly. So they ended up in a position where they could buy control of Sunbasket and put Sunbasket and Pruvit together in a new company. Now, this is where you start to see the original ownership is shifted. And all of a sudden, there's other people that are involved that own Sunbasket. At that time in 2021, we're coming out of the pandemic. Sunbasket and Gobble, I think, were the 2 biggest. And Sunbasket, I think, was on top. So literally, they were able to say, look, we can now bring in pre-made meals, if you will. Meal replacement, it was huge because everybody was sticking it out at their house. So now you finally had something where, hey, if people are already using this, now we can introduce exogenous ketones into the direct-to-consumer meal replacement. At the same time, you can bring meal replacement into the market mix for people that are using exogenous ketones because it's healthy food. I've enjoyed Sunbasket food, phenomenal stuff. So we were buying the product. I was buying ketones. We were buying these meal replacements. My family liked it. It was great. This merger at that time was the largest merger in the meal replacement sector. It was $1.3 billion when you put these 2 companies together. The Pruvit team ended up owning 60% of that company. They kept the CEOs in place for Sunbasket, the one in Pruvit. It was great. Here's the interesting thing, though. by the end of 2022, Intelligence Foods, which is the holding company that had these two companies in there, also went after another billion-dollar merger. They ended up acquiring Gobble. Now you've got the number one and number two. You've got a company that's got an evaluation based on public information of over $2 billion. And guess what? Your focus is on becoming the best meal replacement company. Even though you've got this nutraceutical division, doesn't really fit the model. At the same time, here's Pruvit trying to grow. They're at a stage at this point, that 7th, 8th year, where they're saying, okay, what's next for us? Well, they soon found out that even though Underwood was the CEO and you brought in Blake Mullins from the Visalis days as your president, and he's out here pumping things because he's a great marketer, he's a good friend of mine, I've known him forever. You're not doing anything because you don't have the actual ability to do it, because everything's got to go through the holding company. You've got the board of directors, you got the CEO and president of the holding company saying, well, I don't know if we want to put money into this when we've actually see massive growth. And I don't know if you guys know it, but by 2030, the direct-to-consumer meal replacement, that's supposed to be a $67 billion business. Right now, it's about $17 billion. So you can see where if you're in a holding company, who wants to be in charge? Who's doing what? How do we get this going? What do we do? So we know that sometime in 2023, talk started to go about, hey, what about if we buy the company back from you guys? What would that entail? If we want to take it and we just want to become anonymous again, we're not inside of some holding company. Let's work out the percentages, the shares, all that kind of stuff that's behind the scenes that none of us are going to know about. What does it take? And in June of 2024, Adventure Capital. Now, Adventure Capital has been around since 20. Basically, it's an equity investment firm that's owned by Harding and LaCour and Underwood, and they've all been partners now long enough. They know, hey, when we do something, we make money together. That's it. They're all successful Main Street entrepreneurs. They all have their special niches, and they put this thing together. And what happens? Well, you can see that we're gonna pop it up here to the press releases. These guys were able to get the company back in their sole control for $107 million. Now this allows them to now look at where are they at today, where do we want to go, what's next for us, and what can happen. Now, Pruvit is not without its controversy, so let me explain that. There's people that don't like exogenous ketones. Some of the original affiliates that have been with Pruvit have now gone to other companies or were terminated in some cases. There's lots of information on that, not getting into that. That's business. We see it in big business, we see it in little business. I hate it when it happens. I've got good friends that are still at Pruvit, good friends that have left Pruvit. Okay, my goal is to say, let's look at the facts of the business model. Because if you'll study the business that Pruvit has put together, if you're wanting to launch a company, or even if you're in the field and you're saying, how can I be successful like some of these people are, then go and emulate what they have done that has been positive, and you'll see that you can break this thing out. You'll do good. So with that being said, guys, go read the article. You're going to find more information there. I want you to do this. This is how we're going to start ending our videos. Live well and finish strong. I'll see you next time.